Good morning, everyone. Today is June the 4th, and I'm going to go over a few things. I like to do this at the beginning of the month. That way, my mind is fresh on it. My budget for May came to $1,251. That's how much money I spent in the month of May. I think it was pretty good, pretty decent month. I'm trying to stay below 1,500, and I'd actually like to be below 1,000, but life happens. The extras that I spent money on were for things that, for some travel that I did during the month of May. I had an unexpected trip that I had to take, and I put those expenses on a credit card and usually pay them either that month or part the next month. That way I don't have to pay any interest on the charges, and it keeps it away from my debit card situation. Anyway, so for the month of May, since I had quit my job, I got back into my volunteering thing with RSVP. They reimburse my gas for travel, so I take people to appointments and meet interesting people actually, and take them to appointments and then take them back home because they can't drive, or they have an appointment where they're not supposed to drive. And I've been getting back into doing things with my friends and some things that and I've been doing a lot of walking, and because I really need to lose weight. I gained a lot of weight during COVID, and walking is probably the only thing I can do because of the condition of my feet. So my future plans. This is always going to be flexible, as everyone knows, because I change my mind pretty frequently, and that's just the way it is. When a good opportunity comes along, I have to consider it. Now, I have a couple of things. First, I want to travel. And I have found, since I can keep my budget under $1,500 a month, I can do that. There's a couple of different ways that I can do that with having my house completely paid off. I can rent it out. I can get a house sitter, or I can sell it outright and have the cash to travel. I don't want to sell my house. I just paid it off, so I want to enjoy having a house that's paid off for a while anyway. Renting it out is an option, but I don't really like that option because I really still want to have a place. I still want to have a home base, a place that I get my mail, can prove that I still live here, that kind of stuff. And so the house sitter thing is more attractive. Now, it's not the normal house sitter situation. I have a friend that pays really high rent, and she is a few months away from her lease being up, and what we have kind of talked about is her moving in my house, kind of like a rental situation, but more like a hybrid of rental and house sitting, because I'm going to keep one room, not the master bedroom. I'm going to let her have that because it's much bigger, and I'm going to keep one room for myself with all my stuff in it. So when I'm traveling and I want to come back home, I have a place to come back home to, and a place to keep things. There are certain things that I just can't travel with. I have things, I just have documents and personal things that don't travel well, especially if you're going to another country. So, and if and there's two ways that I'm thinking about traveling: work travel and pleasure travel. If she moves into my home, she's going to pay the utilities, which amounts to about $400 a month with the electric, water, trash, internet, that kind of stuff is around $400, give or take, depending on the electric bill. And so that frees up my expenses in order to be able to travel. So I won't have any expenses except my basics. I may sell my vehicle, and if I do that, I won't have expenses for that either. insurance and gas, which right now between the two of those things, gas and insurance, is running about $200 a month, which saves, the $400 for the utilities and then the $200 on the vehicle. That's $600 right there that I've saved. So, and then having a place to come back to. Not having a car is not that big of a deal to me. I can hitch rides with family or friends. They're everywhere here, and if she lives here, that's going to be a stipulation, and she's glad to do it. We've known each other 25 years. It's not that big of a deal. My plan, and the reason that I talk about a job is that I have an opportunity for a job that I never thought would happen. And it involves travel. And it also involves what I know, which is MRI. So this, if it happens, then I will indeed need a home base, because I will be traveling from my home to different locations, doing some training, and then coming back. And I can work as much or as little as I want to. So if I wanted to work once a month, I could go somewhere, work, come back home, and then have 3 weeks to travel somewhere else for fun. Now, if that job doesn't pan out, I'm not going to cry over it, because it just was something that kind of fell into my lap. I wasn't even planning on looking for a job. But my other thing is that I've been wanting to travel for a while. So traveling in the United States is out of the question, period. It's way too expensive, and everything is getting more expensive. You look up an Airbnb in any given city, town, anywhere in the United States, and they're not giving you any discounts for staying longer. And if they are, it's very little compared to what you can get in another country. I've been watching a lot of videos over the last several years about other countries, and I really want to travel overseas. I've cut Europe and Asia and those places out of the picture for now, because I want to stay kind of close. I want to start traveling. I mean, I've only went to one place so far, and that was for 10 days, and it was a tour group once I got there. So to do it all by myself, I want to kind of start like baby steps. And the barriers I have to that, another barrier I have to that is the language. If I travel South America and Central America, mostly all I'll need to know is Spanish. So I've got a resource, a couple of resources to learn Spanish, to use, Google Translate, that kind of thing. And I'm going to do my best to learn it. And the best way to learn, besides, someone teaching you, is also immersion. And so I'm going to try to learn as much as I can before I go. And then once I'm traveling, I can get more immersed in it, which you can pay people to teach you Spanish. That would be a traveling expense. But the total expenses for traveling is going to be really way less than trying to travel in the United States. I'm positive I can keep my expenses below $1,500. I'm shooting for $1,000, but that's may or may not happen depending on where I go and what I do. I mean, it's all well and good to travel to a country, but if you can't spend any money while you're there because you're sitting in an apartment or a hotel room and you can't spend any money, you may as well sit at home. So that's my plan. And so whenever I travel, I've got a few ideas of what I'm going to do. I want to see different cultures, and I want to stay in the mountains some. I want to stay on the coast some. I want to see what's out there. I've always wanted to travel. And I have about 3 years to decide if this is something I want to do perpetually, or to do it in 3 years and come back home and settle. I have a son and 4 grandchildren here, so there is, and other family here, so there is a reason to stay here. But It is expensive to live in the United States, and it's getting more expensive every day. I have, taxes and insurance, and gasoline is going up. And where I live, you can't very well live without a vehicle or some sort of way to get around. There are no buses where I live, and there are very few taxis. And I don't even know if there's Uber here. I've tried one time and it said there was nothing available, so I didn't bother. So, and the reason I say it's 3 years is because in 3 years I'll be of the minimum age eligibility for Social Security. So if I want to keep traveling at that point, more than likely I would have to keep the situation with my house as far as have someone live in it while I travel. But my budget would be restricted a bit more. My Social Security would be a pretty decent amount, but I still would need money in over and above the budget for the travel expenses, like the actual airfare type expenses. People talk about traveling, but the airfare seems to get lost somewhere in the translation of all that. So realistically, I would have to have some sort of padding for the travel part of it, the actual travel part of it. So I figure if I do some traveling for 3 years, I can decide if I want to keep doing that. At that point, more than likely, I would probably sell my house and keep traveling. Now, if I didn't like the traveling, I would just come back home and settle in and, try to deal with the cost of living here. Having a paid off home is a big plus in that. So I can't say one way or the other what I would do because I don't know. I've only traveled like one time. So I don't know. If my friend decided that she wanted to travel as well, I might try the rental thing. But, there's a whole bunch of craziness that goes along with that. I would have to put all my stuff in storage or get rid of it. And then I would have to change my residency. And I don't know. Have to change my address, and just a big hassle, if you ask me. So that's kind of my plans for right now. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. I have, like I said, I don't know how to say it. Anyway, this job is going to be an opportunity for me, but it'll be at least a week before I get started in that. I'm going to be going somewhere locally to see what they do and see if I'm a good fit and see if they're a good fit and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then we'll roll. So by the end of June, I should know one way or the other whether I'm going to do that job or not. The other option that I didn't talk about is actually travel for MRI, which is like 3 months at a time, and it's full-time work, and it's not what I want to do. I don't really want to do it. I would be willing to do it maybe once or twice a year, or actually maybe once a year, because it would be, I would make enough money in that short period of time to probably sustain me the rest of the year with the way I spend money. And there's some tax-free things in there. But the problem with that situation is that since housing and gas and all these things have gone sky high, and the rates for reimbursement through the travelgsa.gov have not went up, it's probably not going to be cost effective to do that any more than getting a job locally, with the exception of you only work like 3 months. So there's a lot to digest there, and like I said, I changed my mind a lot. So we'll see what happens in the next month. Things have been going really well. Like I said, I've been walking a lot. It's really hot, so I have to get up really early. I mean, I get up so early, I can barely, I stumble out of bed, get dressed, drive down to the park where they have the trail that's, lots of trees and stuff, so it's not as hot. And I walk. Some days I get 2 miles, some days I get 5 miles. With the situation with my feet, every day is a guess. Now, some days I wake up, my feet are still hurting, so I have to take it off. And I've been taking care of my diet as well. I've got a thing on my refrigerator, like a dry erase thing, and I write down everything that I eat, because I found that keeping a diary of my food keeps me honest about what I'm really eating, because I don't know about you, but I can eat things and 2 or 3 days later say, I don't know what I ate. Why am I not losing weight? That kind of thing. And I think I've lost about 3 pounds in a few weeks, so that's good. Anyway, so that is all I've got for today. I can't think of anything else that I need to relay. So if you got any questions or suggestions or comments, please don't hesitate. This little video series that I don't know if anybody, I've said this before, but this little video series is really for me. I go back and I watch it again. And because, like I said, I change my mind a lot and see the reasons behind I made certain choices, and decide what I'm going to do, or why I did what I did, or why did I not do what I said I was doing, that kind of shit. Anyway, so that's it. And I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.